History has always been the greatest teacher of humankind. It whispers to us that when arrogance blinds the vision of powerful nations, they repeat the same mistakes again and again. America today stands at such a crossroads where its decisions are not guided by humility or wisdom, but by ego and fear of losing control. And whenever ego rules over decisions, history repeats itself. The same mistake America made in the past with countries it underestimated, it is now about to make again with India. If we look back, there are countless moments where America's choices, born from pride, reshaped the balance of power across the world. When they underestimated China decades ago, they unknowingly empowered a future rival. When they misjudged Russia, they fueled resistance instead of submission. Each misstep was not just an error, it became a turning point in global history. And now, when they try to measure India with the same scale of underestimation, they are planting the seeds of their own regret. America looks at India and thinks it can be pressured, manipulated, or swayed into submission. But what they fail to see is that India is not a fragile nation waiting for approval. It is a civilization that has stood tall for over 5,000 years. Empires have come and gone, invaders have risen and fallen, but India has remained, carrying within it the unshakable spirit of resilience. To miscalculate India is to miscalculate the very essence of endurance and strength. When a nation tries to define another through arrogance, it fails to notice the silent power growing within. America believes that by making its next big move, whether in trade, politics, or global alliances, it can corner India. But what they will soon realize is that such moves do not corner India. They carve out a larger stage for India to rise. Each mistake America makes against India becomes a mirror, showing the world that the true leadership of tomorrow lies not in the old powers of yesterday, but in the new strength of Bharat. Ego makes you blind, and blindness leads to downfall. America's blindness towards India's capability will be its undoing. This is not a story of one nation defeating another. It is the story of destiny correcting itself. For too long, global power has been concentrated in the hands of a few who believed they were invincible. But history tells us no one remains invincible forever. Mistakes made in arrogance create opportunities for those who are patient, resilient, and ready. India has always been ready. And so, when America makes its next big mistake, the world will witness the power of history repeating itself. Only this time, the repetition will not be one of oppression or dominance. It will be a repetition of renewal, a reminder that when great powers fall into the trap of ego, new powers rise with unstoppable force. And that unstoppable force is India. India's rise is not borrowed, it is built. It is not a gift from another nation, not a favor handed down, not a seat offered at the global table out of pity or politics. India's rise is crafted from the sweat of its farmers, the innovation of its youth, the sacrifices of its soldiers, and the determination of its people who refuse to be defined by the shadows of the past. Unlike many economies that lean on foreign approval, India's growth stands on its own feet, rooted in self, belief, and nurtured by resilience. America often believes that it is the giver of opportunities, that nations rise only when America allows them to. But India's story is proof that real progress cannot be gifted. It must be built, brick by brick, generation by generation. India has done just that. From the days of colonization, when resources were plundered and dignity was stolen, India did not collapse into despair. Instead, it transformed its wounds into wisdom, its struggles into strategies, and its pain into power. When America makes its next mistake, it will expect India to stumble, to hesitate, to falter. But what it will see instead is a nation that has already prepared itself for such trials. India's economy is not standing because of foreign aid. It is thriving because of its own entrepreneurial spirit. India's technological rise is not borrowed knowledge. It is born in the labs, classrooms, and dreams of its own people. India's resilience is not imported. It has been forged through centuries of challenges that no foreign power can understand. The world often underestimates what self-reliance truly means. For India, it is not just about producing goods or building infrastructure. It is about building confidence that no setback, no betrayal, no miscalculation by a foreign power can stop its journey forward. Self-reliance means that even when others close doors, India knows how to carve new paths. Even when alliances shift, India knows how to stand tall, not as a dependent partner, but as a sovereign force. America's mistake will be to assume that India needs its validation. But validation is for those who doubt themselves, and India does not. India's rise is already written in its people's determination. Every village that lights up with electricity, every student who builds the next innovation, every woman who steps into leadership, every farmer who feeds millions, each of them is proof that India's power comes from within. No sanction, no policy, no deal broken by America can take away that foundation. This is why America's miscalculation will not weaken India. It will only expose the truth to the world, that India's growth is not fragile, it is unshakable. It is not borrowed strength that can be taken away, it is built strength that multiplies under pressure. And when the world realizes this, they will see what America failed to see. India does not need to be made powerful, because India already is. Every mistake carries within it a hidden opportunity, but only the brave know how to transform that mistake into a turning point. History has shown us that whenever India has been pushed down, it has risen higher than before. Whenever it has been cornered, it has found a way to break free. Whenever it has been underestimated, it has rewritten the narrative. That is the spirit of this nation. And what America might think of as a clever strategy to limit India will in truth become the stage on which India proves its unstoppable resilience. Think of it, India has never had an easy journey. From centuries of colonization to wars, sanctions, betrayals, and economic challenges, India has faced storm after storm. And yet, instead of drowning, it learned to sail. Every trial became a teacher, every obstacle a stepping stone. The world thought that by denying India access to technologies or alliances, it could slow its progress. But each denial pushed India to innovate on its own. When the world hesitated to share defense technology, India built its own. When global powers tried to corner it with sanctions, India turned inward and found strength in self-reliance. When doubters predicted collapse, India surprised them with growth. That is why mistakes made against India never truly weaken it. They sharpen it. America's next big mistake will follow the same pattern. They may try to pressure India, believing that isolation or restrictions will limit its rise. But what they do not realize is that every attempt to corner India ignites a fire within its people. That fire is not about anger. It is about determination. Determination to rise above dependency, to build stronger foundations, and to prove to the world that India does not merely survive challenges. It transforms them into platforms for leadership. The difference between nations that crumble under pressure and those that grow from it is mindset. India's mindset has always been one of transformation. Where others see problems, India sees possibilities. Where others feel fear, India finds courage. This is why the next mistake by America will not mark India's downfall. It will mark India's rise. The very chains meant to restrict India will become the fuel for its freedom. This is the beauty of resilience. Adversity becomes an ally. What was meant to break you becomes the reason you stand unshaken. America's strategy may create short-term hurdles, but those hurdles will only prepare India for a longer, stronger journey ahead. The world will watch in awe as India takes what was meant to be a setback and turns it into a stepping stone toward destiny. So, when America makes its next move, it will believe it is writing India's limit. But history will prove otherwise. It will be the moment India writes its breakthrough. That mistake will not be America's triumph, it will be India's turning point. And in that moment, the world will see the unstoppable spirit of a nation that refuses to be caged by anyone's miscalculation. India's greatest strength does not lie in a single leader, a single industry, or a single decision. Its true power is carried in the heartbeat of 1.4 billion people who, despite their differences in language, culture, and tradition, move forward as one. Diversity has never been India's weakness. It has always been its foundation of strength. And when America makes its next mistake, it will remind the world that India is not a nation that stands on borrowed pillars. It is a civilization built on unity that cannot be broken. For centuries, the world has looked at India and wondered how a country so diverse, with so many religions, languages, and communities, could remain together. They thought diversity would divide India, but instead it became the very reason India survived, endured, and grew stronger. Diversity taught India resilience. It taught India how to listen, how to adapt, how to rise above differences and find common ground. And this unity in diversity will be the force that America's miscalculation cannot overcome. America might believe that by isolating India or by pulling away certain alliances, it can weaken its foundation. But what it does not understand is that India's strength has never been external. It has always come from within. Whether it is the farmer in Punjab, the teacher in Kerala, the entrepreneur in Bangalore, or the soldier on the borders, every citizen carries a piece of India's strength. Together, they form a chain so unbreakable that no foreign policy or international misstep can tear it apart. Unity in diversity means that India does not depend on a single source of strength. If one door closes, another opens. If one region struggles, another region steps forward. If one sector faces challenges, others rise to balance it. This interconnectedness makes India resilient in ways the world cannot fully comprehend. America may underestimate this, believing that pressure on one part of India can destabilize the whole. But what they will discover is that India's unity is not fragile. It is self-healing, self-balancing, and self-sustaining. In the moments when India has been tested the most, it was unity in diversity that carried it through. During wars, it was not one state or one community that stood to defend the nation. It was the collective will of millions. During crisis, it was not one region that responded, but the entire country, bound together by the belief that India's survival is everyone's responsibility. This is why America's mistake will not weaken India. It will only strengthen its collective resolve. The world must understand this truth. India's heartbeat does not belong to one, it belongs to all. And when 1.4 billion heartbeats pulse together with a shared vision, no power on earth can silence them. America's next misstep will not divide India, it will unite it even more. And in that unity, the world will witness the unstoppable force of a nation that thrives not despite its diversity, but because of it. Whenever India has been pushed to the edge, it has never simply chosen to survive, it has chosen to redefine what survival means. This nation has a spirit that refuses to accept defeat, a spirit that transforms every setback into strength, every wound into wisdom, and every challenge into an opportunity to rise higher. America may believe that by making its next mistake, it can push India into a corner. But what it will fail to see is that India does not wither under pressure, it grows. It does not simply endure adversity, it transforms adversity into a launch pad for leadership. Think about India's journey through history. Colonization stripped it of wealth, dignity, and freedom, yet it emerged not broken, but stronger, with a will so unshakable that it became the world's largest democracy. Wars tried to weaken it, yet each battle only strengthened its defense and unity. Sanctions were once placed to slow its progress, but instead they forced India to innovate, to develop its own industries, its own technologies, its own path forward. Every attempt to limit India became the very reason it learned how to thrive without dependence. This is the essence of India's character. It does not stop at survival. When others see survival as the goal, India sees survival as the starting point. To survive is not enough. It must grow, it must inspire, it must lead. That is why, whenever the world tried to define India's limits, India broke those definitions and wrote new ones. From the Green Revolution that ensured food security, to the IT revolution that made India a global hub of technology, to the space missions that placed its flag among the stars, India has repeatedly shown that survival is only the first chapter. The real story begins with transformation. America's next mistake will follow the same pattern. They might imagine that by applying pressure, by closing doors, or by underestimating India, they can slow its rise. But pressure does not paralyze India, it activates it. Challenges do not intimidate India, they ignite it. And the moment the world sees India responding to adversity with innovation, with unity, and with courage, they will realize that survival for India is not about staying alive, it is about creating life, creating possibilities, creating futures. This is why India cannot be stopped. Because when survival is redefined, every difficulty becomes a doorway, every obstacle becomes an opening, every mistake of others becomes an opportunity for India to shine. America may think it is forcing India to struggle, but what it will actually be doing is forcing India to discover even greater strengths within itself. And that discovery is far more powerful than any external support could ever be. So when the next test comes, the world should not look for India to merely endure. They should prepare to witness India rise, adapt, innovate, and lead. Because India's history is proof. It never just survives, it redefines what it means to survive until survival itself becomes triumph. Unstoppable is not just a word for India, it is its destiny. For centuries, this land has carried within it a quiet certainty, a belief that no matter how many storms come, no matter how many powers rise and fall, its time will arrive. America may think that its next move, its next mistake, will limit India's rise. But the truth is, mistakes made against India do not create walls, they open doors. They do not chain India, they release it into the fullness of its destiny. India has waited, not in weakness, but in patience. The patience of a civilization that has seen empires come and go. The patience of a people who know that strength built slowly is strength that lasts. This is why India's rise today is not sudden. It is the unfolding of centuries of endurance, resilience, and preparation. And when destiny calls, no mistake, no miscalculation, no obstacle can silence that call. The unstoppable nature of India is seen in its people. 1 billion dreams moving together, 1 billion struggles turning into victories, 1 billion hopes refusing to die. Every child who studies under the dim light of a lantern, every entrepreneur who builds a business with little but courage, every soldier who stands guard at the borders, every farmer who feeds millions, each one is a testament to this unstoppable spirit. They are not waiting for permission to rise, they are already rising. When America makes its next big mistake, it will believe it is asserting dominance. But in reality, it will only accelerate what was already inevitable: India stepping into its rightful place as a global leader. Because unstoppable is not about confrontation, it is about continuation. India does not need to fight for validation. It only needs to keep walking the path it has been walking for centuries, and that path leads forward, not backward. Destiny is not something that can be delayed forever. It is not something that can be denied by sanctions, by pressures, or by strategies. When a nation is chosen by history to rise, nothing can stand in its way. India is that nation today. Its growth, its resilience, its unity, its vision, these are not temporary sparks, they are the fire of destiny itself. So let America make its move, let mistakes be made. In the end, those mistakes will not define India's limits. They will reveal India's boundless power. They will not stop India's journey, they will make that journey faster. For unstoppable is not a dream India chases, it is the reality it carries. It is the promise of its past, the strength of its present, and the certainty of its future. And no nation, no mistake, no force can stand against destiny when destiny has already chosen to rise.